speaking of, Sunderstorm, I really would want to start to dive into your brand portfolio. Kana Edibles, I think is one of the very notable brands within your portfolio. Yep, on your shirt there, I love it. And you also have some other brands as well, including a vapor pen brand, Wind, and you've got the Nano 5 brand that produces tinctures. And so, just kind of, taking a look at that portfolio, what drives kind of the decisions around, investing in edibles and vapor pens and tinctures, and how do you think about other categories? Are you guys happy with these categories, and where do you start at Sunderstorm?
Yeah, that's a great question. We started off with kind of the mindset that it was such a new industry. It was hard to know what was going to stick, so we really had a lot of SKUs, and then over time we've kind of dialed back our SKUs actually. Our focus is without a doubt Kana gummies, where we have probably, we certainly have the widest variety of flavors and ratios of any gummy company. So we're really heavily oriented toward Kana. We're one of the top edibles in the state, and we're taking that product to new states. But as we mentioned kind of at the top of the thing, we do self-distribution. So we actually have our own fleet of vans, our own fulfillment centers, both in the LA area and the Bay Area that can accommodate, going to the state. And I guess one of our underlying business principles is that as a CPG company, you want to try to touch your customer with as many points as you can. To build that relationship. I mean, while we live in a digital world, I think business is fundamentally personal. And so, we manufacture our own product. We don't white label. We then have our own distribution hub, our own salespeople, our own field reps that run around. So in some ways, we're a B2B. We sell wholesale to dispensaries and delivery services across California. But at the end of the day, we have to build a relationship with the consumer to let them know what our brand stands for. So by controlling distribution, we feel we've got an edge on touching the B2B client on a regular basis, and having our own field reps allows us to do demos and different events, so we can begin to build a loyal following on the B2C. So I think any CPG company has to kind of divide their focus between B2B and B2C, and have some tools in their arsenal to develop both at the same time.
Yeah, great point. One of the things as a CPG company, having that touch point with the consumer is often challenging for any CPG company in any industry, even beyond cannabis. How do you guys see, being in California, there are opportunities for a direct-to-consumer model. Obviously, that's quite complex, and there's licenses associated with that. But I have seen some brands, come to market and try and put up a website and work through a potentially a delivery network, or building out their own delivery network to have that touch point with the consumer. Is that something that may be in the cards for Sunderstorm, or do you guys like the strictly CPG, don't want to get into retail, no matter if it's direct consumer or brick and mortar?
I would say that our focus currently is definitely staying in the B2B markets. We're here to really support our dispensaries and delivery services that have been kind of loyal Kana fans, and help them grow their business. We do have a buy now button on our website, so we are basically working with some local providers. So I think, from our perspective, we want to offer the consumer as many choices as they can. I do think for many people that cannabis is new, and there's a lot of education that needs to be learned. And going into a store and talking with trained bud tenders is a great way to kind of get education that you can't get on a buy now button. I think if you know what you want and you're kind of going to do a buy repeat, the buy now button is great. If you want to explore, new products and new categories, going into a shop is a great way. So, at Sunderstorm, we really try to have our salespeople go in and do bud tender training, particularly on the more complex, nano products that are not kind of straightforward and simple, but require some education.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So, speaking of consumer education, and talking about Kana and the gummies, I believe you have two kind of different variations of Kana gummies. I mean, multiple flavors, but you have kind of more traditional gummies and you have some fast onset gummies. Is that accurate?
It is. So we actually consider that we have like 4 different buckets for gummies. And again, we're predominantly a gummy company. Our classic is kind of a regular, not nano. So it's a little slower release. It's going to be 45 minutes, to an hour for onset. It's going to have a longer duration. And it's a little bit cheaper price point. So that's kind of entry for a lot of people. We are the leader in nano edibles. We were the first licensed THC company in the country to have a nano product on the shelf back in 2016. We introduced nano to the California edibles market about 2 years ago, and is a significant portion of our business today. Nano is this complex thing, but you can kind of boil it down into 2 functional things, which is rapid onset, 15 to 20 minutes. So you're not waiting, a long time for that product to kick in. That allows for better dosing. It means you're not doubling up before you know where you are in your journey, which I think we probably have all had an experience on at some point in time. So the rapid onset, I think, is a great feature. And then with nano, it's also higher bioavailability. So it's, my analogy is it's not how much vitamin C you take in the morning, it's how much vitamin C gets in your bloodstream. That's all that matters. And the vast majority of vitamin C is wasted, through your system. So maybe 30% actually get into your bloodstream. That's one of the reasons why there's such high milligrams for vitamin C, is because of the low bioavailability. So what nano does, it kind of tricks the body into absorbing the THC and the CBD. So there's a much higher level that gets into your bloodstream. So you don't need as strong of a milligram content in the gummy or the tincture, because more of it's going to get into your bloodstream. So it's both faster onset and higher bioavailability. And we really think that a good chunk of the cannabis market is going to head in the direction of nano, because it just makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And, I couldn't agree more. I mean, the edibles category, you said it really well, like everyone's had that experience. And I think that, coupled with, people new to the category coming to try cannabis for the first time, there may be some apprehension about, having a chocolate or a brownie or a gummy that, might be just too much. And, I feel like the fast onset and what you guys are doing with nano, rapid onset, the bioavailability, that makes a lot of sense. And, changing kind of perceptions around that stuff, and just overall better experience for, new, or maybe even, people with experience that just want to try or have that faster onset, not wait. And so I think I agree. I think it's got to be the future of the category. And I think it comes down potentially to like consumer education. So with nano, and you mentioned earlier, having your delivery and being able to work with, customers and interface with your B2B, but, you can connect to the consumers in some ways. How much on the education are you guys doing to try and raise awareness of things like nano?
I would say that's it's a big challenge for us, right? Because it is complicated and, requires kind of understanding kind of how it works. So we actually have a bud tender training platform that we use. Certain shops will agree to allow us to go in and send links to bud tenders, and they basically have a 15-minute kind of video with a test at the end, and they pass the test, and the bud tender will get a sample of one of the products that they can order. Nano again comes in our edibles and in our tinctures. So both in-store training for bud tenders and, kind of the beginning of online education targeted at bud tenders is really how we're focused on it today. It's a difficult kind of message to send out in the B2C world, because, if you have an ad somewhere, it has to be simple and to the point, and it's, you can't have a whole lecture on a billboard. That's not going to fly. So we are really relying on the shops and the bud tenders that that love Kana and like to sell Kana, educating the audience. And when someone tries nano for the first time and they have that positive experience, once they have the experiential feel of what it is like to have rapid onset and kind of a more trailing off journey, there's just a certain segment of the audience that's going to keep coming back for that time and time again and are sold.
Thanks for joining CPG, the Cannabis Packaged Goods Podcast. For more information on Headset, visit headset.io.